What's happening, world? My name's Raheem Flowers, and I'm in this beautiful nature reserved like park in my neighborhood. And not only that, but
It's Pride Weekend. Woo woo! Yeah.
jokes aside though, it is the Gay Pride Parade was today. And you know, after seeing these homosexuals / lesbians and these women who are self-proclaimed feminists fighting for equal rights, and a lot of these dudes out here who are trying to brown nose females so they can garner their attention and get some positive reception in hopes of getting some pussy, I thought about something. And the whole idea of this parade is to fight for equality, right? That's the slogan that I get. But, you know, I thought about something while I was ranting, and I wish I would have said this earlier on the day I recorded it earlier. You can't have equality without taking responsibility and considering the things that transpire in the action that you commit. For example, let's get on women for a second before we get on homosexuals. You see, women will talk about body shaming and slut shaming. And when it comes to slut shaming, this is the really one that I want to touch on. When it comes to slut shaming, what will women do? They'll talk about how we should not over-sexualize them. I've even heard it from my own lady. How a woman should be able to wear whatever she wants. And a woman should be able to wear what she wants. But you cannot be mad at an individual if they judge you. Humans are simply visual creatures. You cannot, I can't tell you how to feel, but you should not be surprised. That's the word. You should not be surprised if a man approaches you in a flirtatious / sexual manner. Because if you know this is how it is in society, if you know that this is the nature that men tend to exude, which is one that is lecherous and perverted and just being a pig who just has sex on their mind 24/7. If you know all these things by your own admission, then why is it that when you get the reception you get, it just seems like something that is just the most obscene, shocking thing to occur in your life? You can't have it like, you can't say on one breath that you can wear what you want and all that stuff, which you can, but there's always gonna be somebody, hey, for every action, there's an opposite or equal reaction, right? So women need to be responsible. I always hear about how it's my body, it's my mind, and my body, my choice, but nobody ever says my responsibility. You never hear that in the slogan. And in addition to that, I can live with the fact, because they will always tell a man to man up, be a man. A man's supposed to take responsibility. A man is supposed to have more restraint, correct? But, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But then we can't talk about how men and women are equal when women don't have to be responsible like men. Women aren't held to the same standards as men. They're not. Women are coddled. They're coddled by the law, and they're coddled by these simp-ass niggas who aren't looking for their best interests. They're just looking to get in their panties, nothing more. Tell me I'm lying. But this is something that a lot of women don't consider. Like, you should be upset that you're not being held to the same standard as a man, but instead, you're more offended by the fact that there are men out there such as myself who will hold you to a certain standard and say, hey, you can't talk about, like, you know the joke, equal rights? Yeah, equal rights, and then you can get equal lefts. And I'm not endorsing dudes to beat on women. Let's be abundantly clear about that. But at the same token, if you're equal to a man, then you should be prepared for the consequences for your action, like a man has to. And if a man does not take consequences and accountability for his actions, guess what? He's not considered a man now. But that's not the same for women. It's one messed up conundrum after another. Next thing I also think about that we don't talk about before I get into the subject of, talking about pride parade and homosexuals. Another thing I thought about, ageism. We don't talk about ageism. We like to emphasize on sexism, homophobia, hell, even Islamophobia. But we don't like to talk about things like ageism, which I believe is the forefathers of all prejudice, because everything comes with age. It was that older person who carried on that tradition, who carried on that notion of racism and sexism and Islamophobia and homophobia and anti-Semitism and whatever bigotry. It was that in itself. It always starts with a generation and these generation gaps. And you have people, the old going at the young and the young going at the old. And oftentimes, the old are the ones, just like I was saying, are the ones who pass on these other bigoted factions and traits, like I just stated. But we don't talk about that. We rather just try to talk about the things that are extensions of it, because that's what it is. Like, when we talk about homophobia, we talk about how gay people are oppressed, and gay people they didn't even start to get legalized marriage until like the other year and whatnot. And now they want to just throw these parades, and because they had banners, especially back in the day, in the 20th century, like God hates fags, and they have these civilizations / countries like Pakistan, Malaysia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, countries like Russia, but the majority of the countries I just named, Somalia, the majority of countries I named are those that have high prevalence of Islamism. Islamists. It's high in Muslims. But the funny thing is how people can take up for Islam, but Islam hates everything you stand for. It's funny how a lot of these people who are considered liberals or on the left and whatever, and I'm not even a no right wing or no conservative or nothing, because what I'm about to say is very ironic. It's funny how you stick up for people who have a lot of values similar to conservatives. Like, how is that? A lot of conservatives they like to keep their inclined to what? Traditionalism. And you would think that they would not want change, just like in the Quran, where you can't alter the Quran or else your hand may get chopped up, or there's some sort of corporal punishment for doing that. Or you have people who are Muslims who have an opposition to homosexuality, Muslims who look down on women, and so much of society where they gotta wear the burqas and the hijabs, and then you have the oxymoron known as Muslim feminists. And then, they'll say everything about you in the Quran and the Hadith. They'll talk about how non-Muslims should be in hell's fire and we're the worst creatures, and when It's the moment of Ramadan. It's really just them taking a break off of killing people who are polytheistic. It's a lot of messed up things in the Quran. I got it right in home. I'm the son of a Muslim, so I'm not just saying things. I'm not just regurgitating things online. I've seen it for myself how Muslim people do behave. If it wasn't for my name, if it wasn't for my affiliation with a Muslim, they wouldn't be treating me like this. But anyways, it's funny, and they don't get held accountable for these things that, you know, the average man would. Homosexuals talk about the oppression they get, and then a lot of times in society, they try to make a parallel to black people. Like, you know, black people went through something like centuries of slavery. Black people had to deal with systemic racism, i.e. Jim Crow. You know, not being able to drink in the same fountains, not being able to integrate academically, not being able to just live in peace because they had to deal with people who were racist. They couldn't just live life. They couldn't just not worry about the prospect of being harassed by the KKK or harassed by the cops or whatever white supremacist group. Nah, they had to deal with that. And they had to be strong. But within all that, they still had the Harlem Renaissance. They still had things like Rosewood. They still had, you know, Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 1920s. Even though this is for another topic, but point is, black people, they had to suck it up. No pun intended, because we're talking about gay people. They had to take it for what it is, you know, until black folks really started to listen to, you know, the whole "I don't need a man" mantra from feminists and whatnot, and a lot of people that are like white liberals and whatnot. Still, they started listening to them and thinking that they're all the same, but they're really just wolves in street clothing. Forgot that guy's name, and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Lyndon B. Johnson or something, or it was some white Democratic dude who said, "I'll have black folks voting for Democrats for the next 2 centuries," or something to that effect. And correct me if I'm wrong on the person's name too. But yeah, that is an actual quote, and black people still subscribe to that. Black people just need to form their own parties. Fuck this whole liberalism, conservatism, being a libertarian, like independent party and all that stuff. Black people should have just followed what the Honorable Marcus Garvey was doing, frankly, instead of trying to just follow the rest of the herd with white people and just being a bunch of Uncle Toms and Sambo ass niggas who subconsciously look for white people's approval. Anywho, let's get back to the topic at hand. So I don't want to hear about how people should just be, we should just fight for equality and everybody should be equal, but you can't talk about being equal in one breath, but in another breath, you're not willing to weather the storm that the other person had to weather. You just want the perks that this individual gets. You're not somebody who's looking for equality. You're just a person who is an opportunist. No problem. You're a person who is a leech. You're exploitive. You're exploitative, just like an oppressor. How are you any different from them? And you know, I'm fine. If ladies want to wear booty shorts, I'm fine with that. If women want to get in a man's face, I'm fine with that. If men have to deal with more and to be a man and man up, we have to do all that, I can live with that. But I will not live with the fact that y'all talk about this equality mess all day, but then y'all not willing to take accountability. Y'all not willing to take responsibility. You will not be held to the same standard, and you know that, but you won't discuss it. you won't confront it. You won't try to handle it. And you won't try to prove people like me wrong and show through action instead of just giving people empty words and things that just sound appealing. Nope. That's just too much to ask for. This world's not ready for equality, because if we really try to put everybody to the same standards, then people would think that you're being harsh or you're being obscene. I get it all the time because I talk about every race, creed, all that. I'm a Belizean, and I talk about every nationality. See, I'm not one of these nationalists. I will talk about everybody. And still, so therefore I put you to the same standard I put myself on. But I will still be called a bigoted. I will still be called a coon. I'll still be called a racist. I'll still be called a homophobe. I'll still be called anti-Semitic for the things that I've said, because I don't get caught up in this thing called cultural Marxism or political correctness. And that's one of the root causes, I believe. People just believe in this idea and of this illusion of equality while removing accountability, and it don't work like that. If you want to be seen as an equal, then you have to put in the work the same way that individual did. You see, when people get a rankings in the armies, there's a reason why there's levels. There's a reason why there is a hierarchy, because that person had to work to become an admiral or lieutenant or whatever stature is in the military. Y'all could correct me on that, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. They had to work for that. They didn't just acquire to say, hey, everybody's a lieutenant, everybody's a king, everybody's a queen, everybody's a Dutch, everybody's an emperor or empress. It don't work like that. And sometimes those things are inherited, but somebody in the midst of it had to work for it, whether they had to cause it by plundering and robbing, or whether they earned it. Yep. So that's what it's about. So when I hear homosexuals talk about, how the world oppresses them and how they can't live. Well, why don't you take it up to those Arabian and those Islamic motherfuckers out there who treat you like dirt and treat you like you're less than human and maim the fuck out of you? You're not gonna do that in the Middle East, though. You're not gonna do that in East African or North African countries. You're not gonna do that in like Pakistan. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that in Russia. You're gonna be quiet like a silent mouse. The same thing's for these women who talk about feminine. Like, if you want people to respect you, you have to go for that. Respect is something that is earned. If you want to be looked at as an equal, you have to hold yourself responsible. You have to live by your words. If your words don't meet up with the action, then what does it matter? That's why I don't take this whole equality thing seriously. I believe in the idea of equality, but I know it doesn't exist because people don't like to take accountability for their actions. That's why. And I think that's where I'm at. All right, everybody. Peace and have a good day.